Welcome to Something More to Podcast, where we move through topics wherever the conversation takes us. I'm your host, Adam Culbertson.
And I'm Richard Collins.
We haven't talked about it on the show in a while, but Final Fantasy 14, like you finally got back into it. You got through the last of the Realm Reborn stuff, got into Heavensward, and are you still approaching Stormblood?
Yeah, I'm getting pretty close now. I didn't quite get as much time as I wanted to play yesterday. Just, various things going on, but definitely getting very close, like handful of quests left. I think one more dungeon. Also approaching 70 already on Red Mage.
Nice.
Like within probably 20 million XP, I think.
That's not bad.
So like a level and most of another level.
Yeah.
I'm already preparing to do Samurai through Stormblood.
Yeah, that's a good one to do.
Yeah, I've already picked up a fair portion of the Shire gear for it. So like by the time that I hit 60 on it, I'll pretty much already have like full Shire gear.
Nice. Yeah, I ended up my completionist side of me, like I always have to do all the quests, like I see the exclamation marks on the map when I open it up anytime I go somewhere, and like if I just see them, I'm like, they bother me.
Admittedly, that's part of the reason I'm not already in Stormblood.
Yeah.
Because like I keep having all these other quests, and I keep picking all of them up, and then I have no room left in my quest log, so I've been trying to go through and clear out some. Like part of my problem is I've been doing the delivery move quests.
Oh yeah.
Because, it's like every time like I go to Limsa, they're just there.
Yeah. It's, the delivery Moogle quest, like, really opens up a lot of lore and just in the surrounding characters, NPCs that just, like, they don't have any other purpose, but now you know that he's in love with her. And
yeah. And some of them are just really amusing.
Yeah, they are. They're funny.
Kind of like the Hildebrand quest, which is another thing that I'm working on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much there is in Heavensward, but I feel like I'm nearing the end of the Hildebrand quest for it, because I've done, I think I'm on the fourth storyline of it in Heavensward.
Yeah, I think there's usually about 4.
Yeah.
5. I don't remember off the top of my head, but they don't usually take too long.
Right. And it's really amusing. Like they're just fun quests to do.
Oh yeah.
Just kind of a break from reality.
Yeah. The Stormblood actually just finished up the Hildebrand arc in it.
Right.
And with the way that we're going to go into the first world, from the first calamity, like it leaves it open. Hildebrand, we're gonna see Hildebrand again. Like
I mean, you have to. It's like a staple to the game at this point.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, we just got the new the Mambo,
the Manderville
Mambo. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw somebody doing that in one of the things I was doing last night.
Yeah, it's my favorite dance now. Yeah.
It's great. That's only a Manderville man can.
Yeah. But yeah, I ended up, I just went to all the zones, and I made sure I had a character that could do the level, can turn them in and get experience from it, since I'm down to 2 level 65s and then a few level 66s, and then I got a 69, and then I'm done getting all my combat classes to level 70.
Yeah.
So
I've still got a very long way to go.
Yeah.
But the way things have been going, I feel like once I get one done, it'll be so much quicker to get the next done and the next and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like, especially once I've cleared out like all of the quests, like, and I'm not just running around doing these quests that just don't give as much XP per time. It's pretty much just going to be down to running a bunch of roulettes and, doing various odds and ends between, like farming NGP or doing crafting or something.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm about to hit, and I'm probably going to be crafting just to do it, just to get them up, make money off of it, save up money for the new gear in the expansion that comes out in July.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the way things are going, I'll definitely be caught up by then, and I may even have 2 or 3 70s by then.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely push for a healer, a DPS, and a tank, like or at least close, because if you do want the mentor crown, like you would need to maintain that.
Right.
Just one of each.
And right now I'm working on a magic ranged. I'm gonna have a melee DPS and samurai. And then I'm not entirely sure what I want to do for healer and for tank. I kind of want to do Dark Knight just because it seems like a lot of fun, even if it's not in the best place right now.
Yeah, it is getting a lot of hate, but I enjoy it. And the dark art spam just doesn't really bother me that much. I've learned how to use it.
Right.
So.
And then, I don't know, for healer, I can't help but feel like I want to do Scholar, which would, give me another 70 in Summoner just by proxy. But I'd always had a lot of fun healing with Scholar, like back in ARR. Although that being said, I wouldn't mind exploring Astrologian, although I can see how, especially on a controller, that might be a little wonky.
Yeah, I forget about drawing my cards all the time.
Yeah,
just because the limited amount of buttons you have with a controller is just, if you're not used to the class, I guess if I was more used to it, because I just class hop or I job hop constantly.
Right.
If I played it consistently, I'd probably start remembering it, but I go so long without playing it, I forget what the cards even do, and I have to go back and reread them every time, and then sometimes I just don't feel like doing it, and then I forget to use them.
Yeah. All in all, though, Red Mage is very comfortable. Like, I like the feel of it. I like the way that it works. Like, I feel capable with it. And it's definitely something I haven't gotten into yet, especially because, it's mostly stuff that's within Stormblood, and I've unlocked the abilities, but I'm still not at that level where in any dungeons I can use them.
Yeah.
So it's like the stuff like the rays, or like I just unlocked Verflare, but I can't use it in any synced anything because nothing that I'm doing is synced above 60.
Yeah. Well, you'll be getting it soon. Like, there's a level 61 dungeon, like, pretty close to the very beginning.
Right.
And that thing gives you so much experience. Like, all the 61 through 69 dungeons, like, they just give a ton of experience.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. And like I said, like, it's kind of getting into that point where, like, all of the quests that I'm doing are giving a decent amount of XP.
Yeah.
And when it's all said and done, I feel like Samurai will likely be 70 by the time I finish the main storyline and get into the patch content. Because, I mean, as quickly as it went with Red Mage, just doing stuff where the only real XP I was gaining was on roulettes.
Yeah.
Like, all of the quests were giving me next to nothing comparatively.
Yeah.
It's like you need a few million XP per level, and the quest gives you like 16,000. Like, kills give you like 1,000.
Yeah. And then fates just aren't really, people aren't doing fates like they used to. So you don't have that random chance to just join while you're doing something else, like just hop in as the train comes running by. But that train's in Eureka now, so. Yeah. Which I've not even tried to really touch into.
Well, this close to the expansion, I don't suppose it's all that important.
No. I mean, the gear or the weapon or whatever is like the best item level you can get in the game. But
it would give you a good boost into the expansion, but at the same time, by the time you get to the end of the storyline for the expansion, all of the gear's going to be better than that anyway.
Yeah. See, I'd rather level crafting and try and just be max 70 on everything before July.
Right.
Just because that's a goal I've had since 2011.
Right. Well, not 70 at the time, but
no, it wasn't 70
max level.
But just having everything max level, which I've not done on the original,
right?
Online, A Realm Reborn. I completely missed Heaven's Sword and came in at the very end just to get something ready for Stormblood.
Although I just got to say, the storyline has been just incredible.
Oh yeah, it gets better. Like it just keeps getting better and better.
Like I gotta say, like as much as I was really hyped at the end of the A Realm Reborn storyline, like it's just so much better in Heavensward.
Yeah.
Like the main story, like the continuing quests afterwards, like it's just so good.
Yeah. Valis is I really like the whole story there.
Mm-hmm.
Just how everything went down is some pretty fucked up shit, and then you save the day, you liberate a people,
right? And I think a good underlying theme for all of it, and I guess really just kind of a good theme in general for storytelling is everything is not as it seems.
Oh yeah, man, it makes you think of like our world. Yeah. Everything is not as it seems. At least some people. Yeah. Some people see things more than other people. Some people see different things. Mm-hmm. It's just who you believe, who you put your trust in, really.
Yeah.
See, I put my trust in myself.
I mean, sometimes that's about the only person you can trust.
Yeah. Like you can't trust like one news source. You all the time, 100% of the time, you have to have just that broad range of looking everywhere, and so you can make an informed opinion of your own.
Well, I mean, it's almost like these days there's no such thing as objective reporting.
Yeah, really.
Like there's always some kind of a twist or some kind of a spin that they're trying to put on it.
Yeah, left and right. Like, I mean, that's the two sides that, I mean,
that really is. I mean, it's just like everything you read, like it's always like either cherry picked statements or misleading statements or things that take things out of context, or and it's just constant. Like we're just going to basically doctor this up to fit whatever narrative we want it to fit.
Yeah, but like I can see that. Like I can see the twist on this side, the twist on that side. But then there's other things like say like when Trump actually like says something, like he says something and like completely not out of context or anything, and it's just like, how the fuck are people not upset about that? Like how do people think that that's?
I would dare say a lot of his support comes from people that are fed up with the government. They're fed up with politicians as they are. They see Trump as an outsider, not a politician. And they applaud him for his willingness to speak his mind unfiltered, regardless of what opinion he holds. They just applaud him for just speaking his mind.
Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between speaking your mind and just blatantly just making shit up that's not what remotely true.
Right.
Or is remotely right or moral. Like there's a difference.
Right.
One thing this morning, like, so they were sitting at Round Table in Texas. President Trump was talking about our military and how our military, they can't act like a military. That if they go around and rough people up, everybody will go crazy about it. Like it's not a moral issue. It's not a right or wrong issue that our military can't just hurt people,
right?
Like for no reason, like to commit an unlawful act against people. It's not a right or wrong issue to him. It's a PR issue. Like, oh man,
and it's just the way he's looking at it, it's not like they're even the military. He's looking at it like a gang of thugs.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, maybe that's just what he's accustomed to. Like hiring thugs to go rough people up to get what he wants. But,
yeah.
I mean, that's not the way that a military should operate.
No.
And I mean, depending on who they're roughing up, it's pretty much against the Geneva Conventions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, like, what does he expect?
I don't know. And he's like, they can't act like a normal military, like let's say another military from that another country would act. Like
what other country?
Yeah.
Like what country is he trying to compare them to?
Like, it's not a good country. Like, not every country that's like in the European Union or like, I don't think it's okay for their militaries to rough people up either.
No. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Like, he's got to be referring to like some bad people.
I mean, almost definitely. I mean, even some of the quote unquote bad countries, like their military doesn't operate like that.
Yeah. They still have to follow the Geneva Convention.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I do not understand what he's trying to get at here.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's going to be a lot of people that are like, yeah, our military needs to rough people up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only way this is going to happen. Because he's also talking about how he's pushing the border wall with this in the same line of dialogue there. Like,
of course. Like, is he trying to consider the like actual border protection agency to be like the military? Is that what it is?
He's actually talking about calling the military in at the border.
Jeez.
Like, that's, and then he's saying he wants them to rough people up, but they can't. But like ICE and fucking border protection and everything, like there was some bad shit that happened.
Yeah.
Like since Trump's been in office.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they were like snatching fucking kids from their parents and shit like that. Did you know in 2 months, almost 2,000 kids were separated from their parents? In just 2 months, whenever he made it, it was because Trump, and like the conservative media and everything, they're trying to push this whole, this separating children from their parents started with Obama and Bush, which, yes, there was child separation, like policy for certain things, like for illegal crimes where the parent or the guardian or whatever needs to be detained to be prosecuted.
Right.
Which the cases for that, because I looked it up, this was bothering me.
Right.
And I looked it up. I was professionals like speaking out, like former members of Border Patrol and ICE, just people with actual credentials in the field and that were involved during these times.
Yeah.
And they would have maybe one incident every 6 months to a year. One incident where a child is separated from their parents.
And even those, it kind of reaches back to the Flores decision.
Yeah.
I mean, like that whole decision was basically to say that they're not allowed to like detain a child like unduly, basically.
Yeah.
And so if that means sending them off to another guardian, like an aunt or an uncle or somebody like that, because their parents are being detained for prosecution, then, that's part of what that decision was facilitating.
Yeah. And Trump even said that, over the weekend or something? It was since the last episode.
Yeah, the whole like Judge Flores thing.
Yeah, the whole Judge Flores. And the thing is, like, everybody was completely, not everybody, but a lot of the comments and stuff that you saw on social media and everything like that wasn't on the issue of him saying that the Flores decision was a bad idea.
Right.
Which that is the terrible like thing that needs to be brought to light, is that he thinks the Flores decision is a bad idea. Like he wants children to be not fed, not given water, fucking just basic human rights shit.
The entire decision revolves around basically giving children
proper care.
Giving them the basic human rights.
Yeah.
And he's saying that this was such a horrible decision.
Yeah, but no, everybody that was coming was like, "Oh, what an idiot, George Flores!" Ha 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 ha. But like,
but yeah, and it's like everybody got so fixated on, oh well, he thought it was Judge Flores, but actually Flores was the name of the girl from the 1985 case. It's like, okay, well,
I think it was 95. I think, or 9. It was in the 90s.
It was an older case, but
yeah,
it was in either case. It's just they're so caught up on like the mistake that he made by assuming that was a judge's name, which again shows that he didn't really read anything about it.
Yeah,
but they completely neglected to look at what he was actually saying.
Yeah, because I mean, even if he didn't read it. If he didn't read anything about it and he's just parroting what the conservative news sources do, I don't want to say news sources lightly, but he's just parroting them. I believe that's the case.
Although that's
more,
at least
but
as
that
dangerous.
pushes their agenda out to more people to that might fall into this indoctrination that's been happening for a long time, and it's gotten bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is a really dangerous thing to have when you have a president, somebody in that kind of position of power that is pushing things that he doesn't even understand or know about.
Yeah, it's dangerous. Like, it's just, I mean, if he gets his way, if the Republicans get their way, with this, like, we're gonna have our fucking military, like, I would hope not many cases. I would really hope that, but I mean, just looking at what happened with ICE and Border Patrol and the whole detainee of the children and everything like that, like I was reading one part of it, one of the head guys or whatever, he was like, Obama told me that you cannot take a child, like you cannot grab it and take it away from its parent. Like you just can't.
Right. That would be kidnapping.
Yes. And that's what was happening under Trump in just 2 months, where almost 2,000 kids were taken away from their parents. I would hope not every one of those cases they were snatched from their arms, but it did happen. I mean, it just did. And people were just completely blind to it.
Well, it's just more and more. I really believe through his actions that Trump does actually believe that these immigrants are less than people.
Yeah.
I mean, he regards them as such.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's necessarily used those particular words, but that's the way he treats them. And all the while, I can't help but feel like part of this is just to distract from his taxes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's another big thing going on right now is the whole call for his tax records, which he still maintains, they're under audit, so I'm not going to release them because I can't release them while they're under audit.
Oh, did you see where the IRS came back out and they said that's not a rule?
Well, yeah, the IRS commissioner, who was actually appointed by Trump.
Yeah.
Like, has even said, like, no, that's not a thing. He's absolutely allowed to reveal his records.
Yeah.
And not only that, but even Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon actually released his taxes while he was under audit. Like, it's not an unheard of thing. It's not even an abnormal thing. And furthermore, supposedly, all of his taxes for, like, the past 10 years are under audit. And the same guy, Rettig, the current commissioner of the IRS, when he was interviewing for the position, like he was put forth and he was trying to get approved by the Senate. He basically said, I've never heard of a 10-year audit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous.
Oh man.
I mean, it's just at a certain point, it makes you think that Trump really does have something to hide, first of all. And second of all, that he's trying to use the anonymity of like IRS auditing to try and hide behind some kind of probably fake audit.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, like a further audit than what he's saying is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although I want to say I read something, and I haven't really been able to confirm this particularly, but said that he's been claiming like that he's been under audit since like 2002.
I wouldn't be surprised, but I wouldn't be surprised that he's just made a lot of it up.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean it's a claim. Like we don't have any don't have any proof.
He's the first president in like 40 years to not release his tax records.
Yeah, and
voluntarily.
Yeah, it's something this big, and they fucking went after he just fucking hounded Obama about the whole birth certificate and everything like that.
And yeah, and he claims that it's like, oh well, it's only reporters that care about this stuff.
No, it's like not. we do
there
too.
are legislators that care. There are citizens that care.
Yeah, like
the way that he's treating this whole thing is so fishy to me. Like it's kind of like if like there's like a kid or something, like there's cookies missing, and it's like, oh well, did you take cookies out of the cookie jar? And is it like, there are cookies? I didn't know there were cookies.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, wait, something's not right here.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to look in the cookie jar. It's under audit. I guess one other really big thing that I'd like to touch on, is even though it's not going through, it's kind of the spirit of it that bothers me, is the bill that was proposed this week in Texas that would remove protections in their law for abortions against homicide. Like basically they were trying to make it so that any abortion at all, no exceptions, would be considered homicide for both the mother and the doctor performing it.
Yeah.
And
punishable by death.
Yeah. Yes. In Texas, it absolutely would be. And in Texas, any homicide against a child 10 years or younger is considered capital and could be punishable by the death sentence.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, this is a really serious thing.
Very.
I mean, even though, I mean, this is not something that's going through, even the chairperson of the Republican board that was going through this was like, no, we're not doing this.
Yeah. Because
even they see that this is crazy. Although this is basically just drawing that pro-life side to an extreme. Like that's really all that this is. And a lot of them, maybe they don't want to push it all the way to being a death penalty, but they feel like it's exactly the same kind of level of crime. And at a certain point, I do believe that abortion shouldn't be allowed, but there need to be restrictions on that. And you know, I'm not exactly in a position to be able to set the mark myself, but personal opinion, I think, you know, really first trimester, I think sounds fair to me.
Yeah.
Like that's enough time that there are extremely few cases that someone would not know that they were pregnant for at least a handful of weeks by then. Like that gives you time to be able to process, to think about it, to decide, like, and be able to carry out an abortion at that point if you've made that decision. Going past that, it gets a lot iffier. And I think absolutely third trimester should be pretty right out, barring cases of medical emergency.
Yeah.
If the mother's health is at risk, I think there needs to be exceptions for that.
Yeah, definitely. And it should just be Like, really? Like, I think it should be the mother's decision.
Absolutely.
Because
I mean, it's affecting her far more than it is anybody else.
yeah, because a lot of these cases, like, you have to have the father has to sign off on it.
And I do believe the father. I do believe the father should have a say, but that's part of the discussion that they would have.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it should be the mother's decision.
Yep. Like, what is the problem with a woman having rights to her own body? Like, why are we still stuck in this fucking prehistoric mindset that the man is in charge?
Mm-hmm. And furthermore, the other thing that really bothers me on this whole no exceptions, like homicide in every case thing, is that it also completely ignores the cases of rape. Cases where the woman was never intending to get pregnant, never did anything to get pregnant. It was done completely against her will. And they're still trying to purport that, oh, well, this horrible thing happened to you. You need to live with it for the 9 months and give birth anyway.
Yep.
Like, basically a constant reminder of that traumatic experience.
Yeah, because in the bill, it, as you said, it said no exceptions.
Yeah, it would not give any protections at all to anything. It would just be abortion equals homicide.
Yeah.
And it's just, I mean, it's horrendous. Like, I don't think people are even comprehending what that could even do to a person. Like, I mean, they go through something so traumatic, and you're trying to force them to live with that for 9 months with just a constant reminder of that.
And then if they do end up keeping the child and not giving it up for adoption, they're also reminded of that for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And you know, to even suggest that you should force that on them under threat of death is just ludicrous.
Yeah. But then if they do give the kid up for adoption, like, the kid has to live with that.
Well, the kid likely wouldn't even know, but that's the
I
way
know,
that...
but it has to live a life being an orphan, and unless he gets adopted.
And there are good adoption families out there.
There are,
but sadly, that's not going to be the case for every child that's institutionalized. Like,
no,
that goes through the system. Like, there are definitely ones that they don't lead good lives, and it's like, I mean, just there's already existing problems with orphans and you know, children that were given up for adoption and everything. Like, basically too many to be able to, like, just give out to good families.
Yeah.
And to try and pass all of these laws is just going to exacerbate that issue.
Yeah.
And you know, furthermore, like, all of these laws that a lot of these states are trying to pass with the whole fetal heartbeat thing, because I was looking into that some. In most cases, the fetal heartbeat develops somewhere around 6 weeks, which is oftentimes before they can even know that they're pregnant. Because, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's early enough that you're not always showing, like, full signs. It's only just barely been past the point where you would miss a period. So, you know, you would only really even start questioning it, I would imagine, around that time.
Yeah. And if it did, again, become illegal, I don't know enough about, like, all the different states and everything like that on its legality everywhere. But
well, right now, federally, Roe versus Wade still protects it to some extent.
Yeah, like I said, I don't really know enough of all the details about all that. But if it did become illegal, like, people are going to be resorting to drastic measures.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's
like, we'll go back to that.
It's not even so much the fact that the bill was proposed in Texas that bothers me. It's the repercussions of that bother me.
Yeah.
It's the fact that there are people that are even willing to say this without feeling like it's committing political suicide to do so.
Yeah. Like, it's actually a bill. Like, that it's gotten to this point. Like, and pro-life, like, that's like, I consider that extremist Christians.
And not even all of it's necessarily Christian,
yeah,
but definitely a large portion of the people that think this are.
Yeah. Anybody I know that's pro-life is Christian.
And a lot of it just kind of stems from that idea of, I think, trying to put your ideals on other people.
Yeah.
It's because it fits with your ideals, so everybody else should follow those.
Yeah. But it's fucking some backward ass ideals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as far as this pro-life thing goes, because, you're not allowed to murder because Jesus said not to murder, but we can kill you for murdering because the Bible says it's okay.
Yeah, and for that matter, what about every holy war ever?
Yeah.
Like, pretty sure that when they were doing the Crusades, they weren't all concerned about thou shalt not kill.
Yeah.
And I feel like that attitude is kind of continued in a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that whole, oh, well, you're not with us, so you're against us. And if you're against us, then you're the enemy. And if you're the enemy, then who cares if you live?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's so against the idea that Christianity is supposed to be.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. I don't get a lot of things in this world. I don't understand people.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like when I was working in the service industry. It's like the old joke about, well, if not for the customers, this job would be great.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. If not for all the people, this world would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, something needs to happen, and we need to it's just all the hate that gets to me. Like, why does everybody have to hate each other? Like,
mm-hmm.
Why can't we just go about our lives and respect everybody else around us?
Right.
Like, what's so hard about that? Like, how would that inconvenience you to where that you have to get angry and fucking go out and commit hate crimes against other people?
And see, I think really, like, out of everything in Christianity, everything in the Bible, I think that the one thing that is singularly most important out of every single bit of it is what collectively we know as the golden rule. Do unto others as I would have done unto you.
Yeah.
Like, if everybody were to just follow that, if everybody were to truly treat each other with the kind of respect that they would want to be treated with, then that would cover everything else.
Yeah.
I mean,
you don't need fucking 10 commandments to tell you how to be a good person.
Like, just treat people the way that you would expect to be treated. Like, and I think too many people kind of conflate that into, oh, well, people need to act the way that I would act then. And that's not true at all.
No.
Like, people mess up. People make mistakes. Like, people don't always agree. People disagree all the time. But that doesn't mean that you should think of them as any less of a person for it.
Yeah. We're all people.
Like, there are definitely times when, like, things go over the line. It's not to say, oh, well, you shouldn't even punish people who murder people. But you should give them the same benefit of the doubt when investigating it and prosecuting it as you would want yourself.
Yeah.
You don't want people to just be like, oh, well, we think you killed this person, so we're just going to send you straight to jail or, the death penalty or whatever from wherever it is you are. But it's like you wouldn't want that to happen to you. Like,
no.
You would want your fair day in court, like your fair investigation of everything to try and separate fact from fiction.
Yeah.
And everybody deserves that. I mean, it's written into our judicial system.
Yeah.
But so much nowadays, people forget that it's innocent until proven guilty, and people act as if it's, well, guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah.
Which completely goes against our system.
Yeah. Well, that's how it is. That's how it is. It's like, I dislike Trump. I can't say I hate the guy. Like, I don't know him.
I don't hate him on a personal level.
Yeah.
I hate a lot of the things he does.
Yeah. Like, I can't say I hate anybody. Like, I have problems with people. I have problems with things they say and things that they do. But yeah, it's fucked up.
And I mean, really, actions and words should be more like the points that you judge someone on than anything else. And you know, all of this stuff about, you know, racism and sexism and all this other stuff just completely forgets that fact. Like, it shouldn't matter what race someone is, or what religion, or what gender, or, you know, anything else like that. What should matter is what they say and what they do. And just because somebody has a different opinion doesn't mean that they deserve to be ostracized for it. Even if you think their opinion is wrong, they're still entitled to have their opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I might think your opinion's stupid, but
and you can even tell them that.
Yeah,
and that's completely within your rights to do so.
Yeah.
But it would be something else entirely if you were like, oh, all these flat earthers, they just need to be rounded up and thrown in jail.
Yeah. Yeah. Or killed. Like, that's even thrown around too. And it's not just the right saying it to the left. It's the left saying it to the right too. Like there's, I kind of dove in deep this week and kind of got a little too deep into conservative media and found out some shit and people that I never even knew of.
Oh yeah.
I don't even want to get on it, but I'm just letting you know, like, there's some crazy stuff. Like, I want to do more research into it, really.
But it's like, I mean, with like flat earthers, they have their opinion. I disagree with their opinion. Like, I, you know, say, hey, you know, this is wrong. Like, the earth is very obviously round. There's a mountain of evidence to prove this.
Yeah.
And everything. But that doesn't mean, like, I'm going to try and hurt them or kill them or anything. Like, all that I can really do is just say, no, you're wrong. Here's some evidence to show it. And that's that. Yeah. They're still free to continue their belief as much as they want, or to not. Like, that's completely on them. And whether or not they do doesn't really affect me.
No, not at all. Like, with the whole inequality and everything like that, where I was digging into some conservative media and actually found this YouTuber, Twitch guy that does this news. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, and I don't feel like looking it up right now. Yeah, I don't want to get into that because apparently this guy attacks people and stuff like that. Which I would rather be more prepared if that's the case. Because I just found him last night.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've been seeing a lot back on that, I think we kind of touched it a little bit last week with white male conservatives thinking that there's a bunch of hate crimes being done against white males. And there's a bunch of discrimination against white males, and which is hilarious to me that they even think that, but it's scary too.
I guess part of the question is it against you because you're a white conservative male, or is it against you because you're an asshole?
Yeah.
Because those are two different things.
Yeah. Probably asshole. Maybe not all of them are racist. Okay. I fuck robocallers, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, finally started to get some kind of action on it, but I mean, it's still incredibly bad.
Yeah. So with the white male hate crimes, like, because one of the things that I was told by somebody, and then I looked it up, and it's all over the conservative media. You got your Drudge Report, you got your Conservative Review, Fox News, even. You got just these problems with Omar and everybody trying to get the more attention on the minority hate crimes, which are definitely, like, there's more of that going on, and it's been going on for a really long time.
And very publicly.
Very publicly, yes. And, I mean, come on. Dude laying on the ground with his hands out saying, I don't have a gun, I don't have anything. Like, they shoot him. Like, he's completely unarmed in a fucking defenseless position, just laying on the ground with his arms and legs spread out. And then they shoot him.
Yeah.
Because he's black. Like there's something wrong there.
Like I don't know if this is like the exact same one you were thinking of or not, but there was one a handful of years ago. I think it was in Florida, but he was a social worker.
Yeah, that's the exact one. Yeah,
and his ward, like the disabled person, was sitting in the middle of the road, like playing with the toy truck or whatever.
Yeah,
and like the officers had guns drawn on him and everything. He's laying face down, like arms and legs spread out and everything, trying to talk the officers down. Like, you know, I'm a social worker. Like, this man is mentally disabled. Like, you know, please just everybody calm down. He's just holding a toy truck. It's nothing dangerous.
Yeah.
And everything. The officer like shoots him, or like ends up shooting him. And even at that moment, like he asks, "Why did you shoot me?"
Yeah.
And the officer says, "I don't know." And that is never acceptable.
No.
Like, that is absolutely never acceptable.
He's going to worm his way over to you and attack you.
Like, if the police officer can't even tell you why he fired his gun, he should not have a gun.
No.
I think that should be true of anybody. If anybody cannot tell you why they fired a gun, they should not have a gun.
Yeah. But, so I started digging. I've been doing more research here recently.
Mm-hmm.
I was just trying to look for, because one of the things they were saying was that, or repeating it over and over, that all these white hate crimes are popping up, and they're getting bad, and they're completely dismissing that the minority hate crimes and the movements to bring attention to that, to get laws passed to change the way the police departments run, just to change the way everything's handled and for better, so there's equal human rights to everybody in this country. And they completely dismiss that. Oh, well, they didn't put white males in that on these hate crimes. There's white hate crimes against males too, or white males too. And we need to be noticed as well, because we're being discriminated against and we're being killed because we're white males. Like, I've never once felt threatened by anything because I'm a white male.
Oh, I mean, sure.
Like, for the things that minorities have to fear on a daily basis, just because it is actual reality that this is happening to their people.
And I could see how there may even be some prejudice against people because of being a white male. But that being said, it's not like there's any kind of real threat behind that.
Yeah. And I was looking it up, and like, crimes against white males is very small. It's a very small number compared to black and Hispanic.
And I would dare say that most of those crimes are probably incidental and have nothing to do with the fact that they're a white male necessarily.
Yeah, I didn't get into looking them up. I was just looking at statistics. It was like 60% are black hate crimes. 60%. That's the highest one.
Yeah, which is insane.
Yeah,
especially considering, you know, that I mean,
I think, and that's of all hate crimes in the country: religion, race,
right.
No, they was separated by race and religion, but out of everybody in it, like, race is the black and Hispanic are the two highest.
I think black still is the second most populous racial group in the country, but it's a pretty distant second to white.
Yeah.
And the fact that they would have that much of a majority there, I mean, something is not right. Something is wrong, and something needs to be fixed.
Yeah. And yeah, there was a study that or is the Harborview Injury Prevention and Research Center website, and University of Washington took a look at the risk and health impacts of hate crimes and everything, and they even got down into like at school and work hate crimes. Like 40% of blacks reported difficulties at school or work because of hate crimes. Like, while on the other side, for white, it was 21%. Like, that's half.
Yeah.
And apparently Hispanic victims were 11.7%. in that case. But yeah, this study was from data between 2003 and 2015, and they got their information from the National Crime Victimization Survey.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this white males, yeah, there's a problem with hate crime in general for everybody. We shouldn't have hate crime for religion or your race or your sex.
I mean,
like, we shouldn't have any of it.
No, you're right. We shouldn't.
But these people saying that white males are being discriminated and completely dismiss everybody else because they feel dismissed when they're a very small minority. I mean, they do matter. I don't mean to say they don't matter, but it hasn't been going on forever. It hasn't been going on since the beginning of this country.
No.
And it's just slightly gotten better, but it should have gotten completely better by now.
And I mean, even still, like, I just, like, I've never once felt threatened or anything like that because of being a white male.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's not a normal thing in today's society. Like,
no. Like what are you fearing? Like,
what,
or you think they
like
read
that.
your mind that you're a racist? Like,
I mean, it's just, I mean, I can only imagine that at least in a handful of these cases, at least if they had any kind of supposed crimes reported against them for being a white male, it probably had less to do with being a white male and more to do with, being a racist asshole.
Yeah. And I'm not saying all white male conservatives are racist and everything, but I mean, if you're not, don't vote for these people that are racist, that
Mm-hmm.
that don't have a problem with hate crimes being committed, that are not doing anything about it or are trying to enforce it as good behavior.
No, absolutely. We need to stop supporting people that spout these types of racist beliefs. Like, Trump never should have been elected based on a lot of the things that he said.
Oh yeah.
That really should have been qualified as hate speech. And that's against races, that's against religions. Like, cause he's had a lot of hate speech against, the Muslim faith. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's insane to me that he even got elected in the first place despite all that.
Yeah.
And it just kind of comes down to the fact that we need to have more options than two.
Yeah. Yeah, we really do.
When everything is A or B, people will let a lot of stuff slide just because they don't like the other option.
Yeah. And I feel like that's where the Democrats screwed up this last time.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you got the two-party system. You have a lot of people on both sides that hate Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
But, like, you got everybody voted, like, a lot of people voted on the lesser of two evils, or what they considered the lesser of two evils.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how we need to vote.
No.
We need to vote on policies, not just because you think somebody is less bad than the other person. That's why are we stuck that way? Well, we are stuck that way. It's been that way for a pretty long time. It's just more blatant on this last presidential election.
And it kind of goes back to, like, South Park kind of hit the nail on the head, like, forever ago, and they've kind of brought it up again since, is the whole choice between a giant douche and a turd sandwich.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just, I mean, it's insane that we've come to this, that, more often than not, like, our elections is about who we don't want than it is about who we want.
And that leads a lot of people to not vote. But, I mean, luckily we had a higher turnout of voters overall on the midterms.
Right.
So, I mean, hopefully all the bad shit that's going on, there's enough people taking notice now to where, like, hey, like, maybe I need to get out there. Maybe if enough of us go out and vote, if enough of us campaign for who we want to represent ourselves, like, maybe we can make a change. And if we can't, and if the numbers show that we should have, something needs to change higher up in the government.
Right. And actually kind of thinking on the whole election system, like I think part of the reason why we kind of devolved into a two-party system in the first place, especially as staunchly as it is because of the fact that once upon a time, it was really hard as an individual to find information on the people that were running. So it was far simpler to have like a generalized ideal that you could just vote for because you knew what that group's ideals were, but not necessarily the particular candidate.
Yeah.
In today's age, the only reason that you would not know things about the candidates is because you're being lazy.
Yeah.
Like the information is out there and it may take some work to do, but it is available for anybody who actually tries.
The thing is, we can get automatic information given to us.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the problem is people follow just Fox News. And this goes back to even just network television. You just got cable TV, you got Fox News, you got CNN, you got all of them there. And I remember growing up and being told Fox News is the only good news source. The rest of them are just for Democrats.
Right.
So the only news I ever watched was Fox News. You only get your information from one place. That's what your beliefs are going to be.
I mean, it kind of comes back to that whole idea of the echo chamber.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of social media has become, is just this echo chamber, because you pick and choose to only read things from people that you like what they say. And so all you ever see is things that fit with your worldview.
Yeah. Like break that bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Like get out of that echo chamber and follow other things that you wouldn't normally follow. Like go through their articles, and because while Fox News does produce like good facts sometimes, there's even some anchors that they don't go on this whole conspiracy theories and just making shit up and throwing numbers out there just to appease their followers.
Right.
Like I can't discredit everybody that's there.
Right.
Because it's not everybody. But just like nobody should discredit CNN or NBC or anywhere else just because they don't like a certain anchor from that station. They're told that they're evil or something like that. Like get news from there's multiple journalists on each network.
Well, and it kind of goes back to a phrase that Ronald Reagan used a lot, particularly trying to appeal to the Russian government, trying to mend relations, because it was supposedly from a Russian proverb, sort of, but trust but verify.
Yeah.
Basically, trust what people are saying, but don't take it as fact. Like, do your own research into it, look into it, like, ask questions. Like, it's okay to verify what you're reading. It really is really almost required nowadays to verify the things that you read.
Yeah. Don't just dismiss an article just because the clickbait title goes with your beliefs, or because it doesn't go with your beliefs. Like, read into it. Like,
right.
Like just take a glance at it. See if it's worthy journalism, really.
Yeah.
Like, make the decision for yourself. Don't let somebody else tell you that something's fake news just because it's not what they believe.
Right.
Because it's not always fake news.
No, it's not. I mean, it's not always. And there are problems with fake news. It's not to say that there's not.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's one of those things where if you believe in that too wholeheartedly, you end up throwing out the baby with the bathwater, so to speak.
And like, maybe you'll see the other side. Like you'll see a different point of view. Challenge yourself. Like, like challenge your beliefs. Challenge the way you feel about a certain topic. Why would anybody want to just go off of what they're told?
Yeah.
What they're told to believe. Why would you want to be told what you're scared of?
Yeah. I mean, that's not going to be the same for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's unique. Like, when you're acquiescing to what somebody else is writing or reporting, like, you're basically giving away your individuality.
Yeah. Yeah. And then people are like, oh, the sheep, like, you know what? You're right there. You're right there with us.
Yeah.
We're all sheep. Like, we're all guilty of just
absolutely.
being sheep.
And it's a constant thing. Like you can't just go, oh, well, I've read into a few articles and so I'm immune to reading fake news. Like, I mean, you always, like, it's going to have to be a constant process. Like, you always have to be vigilant, always on guard.
Yeah.
You never know when what you're reading is just some twisted piece that somebody put out to further some agenda.
Yeah. And there's a lot of stuff is out of context.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I even had one get me. I sent you a link to something and you were like, oh, have you had a chance to read into it yet? I was like, no, I just saw this and I sent it to you.
Yeah, it was the clip from Trump when he was referring to the MS-13 gang members as animals.
Yeah.
But it was kind of taken out of context to try and insinuate that he was saying that of all immigrants.
Yeah. Or asylum seekers in particular, right. in the headline title.
Right. And so, it's a good case of where, I mean, this kind of stuff happens on both sides.
Yeah. And I saw it and I sent it to you because I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured you'd read it.
Yeah. And it was something that I'd remembered because, I mean, that was like from a year prior or something like that. And I had remembered something about it like back then from, where I'd seen one of those kind of clickbaity type titles or whatever. And yeah, when you look into it a little further, I mean, there are a lot of times that things on both sides will get taken out of context to try and push some idea or agenda. Although, changing gears a little bit.
Yeah.
So obviously recently there was the announcement about Borderlands 3, which is something to definitely be excited about. But of course, with any news these days, it comes with some amount of controversy.
Oh, this.
Yeah, this. So obviously you have the whole controversy from a lot of PC gamers because Borderlands 3 will be exclusive to the Epic's game store or the Epic Game Store for I don't know, a handful of months or something. And they won't be able to buy it on Steam until then. And as a protest or a form of protest, they went and review bombed like Borderlands 2 on Steam and just basically crashed its user rating, which is, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, if anything, you're just hurting the brand that you care about.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like what's happening with the Epic Game Store thing. Personally, I don't really play much on PC, so it doesn't affect me a whole lot.
Yeah.
But I see that it's very similar to what has happened with Microsoft getting into video games. They basically like came in and just used money to just buy their way into the industry.
Yeah.
Like it's a really similar concept. Like Epic Games came in, like they'd had like other games before. Fortnite blew up. They made a crap load of money on Fortnite. And it's like they used that money to then make deals with all of these various publishers and studios to make exclusivity for their like download platform, really. And there's a number of games that this is affecting. And it's not really unlike how Microsoft came in and they just started buying studios that were doing well. Like how they bought Rare and subsequently ran everything that Rare had into the ground.
Yeah.
I mean, does anybody even care about Rare anymore?
I don't. I can't even tell you the last game that was put out by Rare.
And it's like, it's crazy because even just before that, like right before Microsoft had acquired Rare, they were still like just producing just amazing games for Nintendo up to that point.
Yeah.
I mean, they had a huge run. I mean, you had stuff like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark is a great follow-up. Like you had Banjo and Kazooie was Rare. Like Donkey Kong Country, like going back to like the Super NES was Rare. Killer Instinct was Rare. Which I guess Killer Instinct is about the only one of those properties that's still doing anything.
Yeah, that's just everybody loves Killer Instinct.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it's just, I mean, they were doing so much that was so beloved, and then like Microsoft buys them out. A lot of people were disgruntled with that, left, and then Microsoft kind of runs those IPs into the ground because they were trying to force their way into the video games industry by buying what was working.
Yeah. And I bet Rare wish they stuck with Nintendo.
Yeah.
Because the Switch is fucking
well, and some of those people did go on to
now.
do other things. Like, at first, I think they turned into Free Radical, which was the company that did Time Splitters.
Yeah.
And then I think later that studio ended up becoming, what was it called? It was the studio that did Crysis, I think.
Okay.
I think that was ultimately the same studio that used to be like the core group from Rare.
Okay.
So, I mean, they still went on to do things. But it's like, yeah, it's just, I mean, that was just one thing that always kind of bothered me about Microsoft's whole strategy. And it's not like it stopped there. They kept buying other studios. Like, hey, these game series are popular. We'll just buy them.
Haven't they been buying stuff recently?
Yeah, some recently too. I think Ninja Theory was recently bought.
Picking up indie companies.
Yeah, Ninja Theory being the group that did Hellblade. And they also picked up Obsidian, I think, sometime pretty recently.
Okay.
Which was the group that did Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah.
But to their credit, they are recently doing a lot to kind of bridge the gap with other consoles. Like, they're definitely doing a lot of work with Nintendo at this point.
Yeah.
And in all honesty, it's a good plan for them because I think they've kind of finally come to that realization that, I mean, people have laid their stakes. Like, people who play Xbox, play Xbox. People who play PlayStation, play PlayStation. People who play Nintendo, play Nintendo. And you'll have some overlap in those groups, but at this point, there's hardly anybody that's going to be like, oh, well, you know, I've been playing, you know, PlayStation and Nintendo for so long, but I don't know. I think I'll try and get Xbox now.
Yeah.
Like, there's not going to be a lot of crossover like that.
No.
And so the only way for them to expand their market at this point is to start releasing some of their games as third party.
Yeah. Yeah, for real. And I like that Microsoft and Nintendo are working together.
Mm-hmm.
The hard one is gonna be Sony and Nintendo working together because Nintendo did Sony wrong.
Oh, they did. They really did.
They did them wrong.
They really did.
Just the dude that was in charge, the console made for Nintendo,
mm-hmm.
goes to the convention where they're gonna announce that they're working with Sony.
Yeah,
but they were working on the side with. What was the?
I think that was the Philips CDI that came out of that. Which, oh yeah, that really worked out for them.
they decided and they announced there at the convention that
mm-hmm.
they were going with the other guy, and the dude was there with all of his stuff, like didn't even know, was not given any fair warning.
Yeah,
he was there, and then finds out that he's not working with Nintendo anymore with their announcement.
Historically speaking, it worked out for them in the long run because they took all that work and turned it into the first PlayStation.
Oh yeah. And
the first PlayStation was a huge hit.
Yeah, it was.
And it really didn't stop from there.
Yeah.
So I mean, in a way, like, Nintendo kind of created its biggest competitor there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I and not to mention, I think that they're a little more like direct competition since they're both Japanese companies.
Yeah.
And you know, they've both been operating for a long time at this point. And so, I mean, I can definitely see how that would be a little harder. And I think Microsoft and Sony are at odds a lot as well, just because I think as a company, they're more comparative.
Yeah.
As well as like their console ideal is a lot more like direct competition.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Nintendo really has a lock on portable gaming.
Yeah, they do. They do.
And
which the Switch was a good choice for them.
It really was. Like that was a smart move. There are definitely some things I'd like to see in the Switch that didn't make it. But I mean, ultimately, the console's still a success. It's a great console. And, you know, I have absolutely no regrets of purchasing it. I've put hundreds, if not thousands of hours in it at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. What I hope they do is they improve on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the next iteration, the next generation or whatever
Right.
that ends up coming out. Like, I hope that they don't like, oh, well, our new thing worked last time. Let's make something wacky now and
Yeah, and that does sometimes happen.
Try and come up with a new design,
That does sometimes happen because Nintendo is really concerned with being on that like cutting edge of pushing what gaming is.
Yeah.
Which sometimes works out great, sometimes not so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like it's great, and there's been a lot of rumors lately that Nintendo is going to be announcing soon like new versions of the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen rumors saying that they were going to put out a Switch Mini and like a Switch Pro. I mean, obviously not real titles, but just conceptual titles. Like one that's kind of a stripped down basic version, somewhat comparable, I guess, to the 2DS.
Mm-hmm.
Like where it was a 3DS, but it didn't have the flipping screen. It didn't have the 3D feature, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then one that was a better version, basically, that works to, improve like the processing power, things like that, and maybe include some features that they didn't include originally. So that I think would be pretty good. And I think the timing of it is pretty decent as well. Like it's been a pretty decent amount of time. If they were to announce something at like E3, then when it's all said and done, it'll have probably been out for about, 3 years? I think the Switch will have been out for about 3 years by the time it comes out.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
So, yeah, I mean, all in all, the timing's pretty decent. But back to the whole Epic Game Store thing. Like the whole point that I was trying to make on that was that even though I don't like the way that they're going about it, I dislike the way that consumers are reacting to it even more. Like, I mean, we're talking about basically a difference of who you're buying it from. Not even like what platform you're using or anything like that. We're talking about who you're purchasing it from is why these people are going out and trashing a game that is otherwise really great. They could end up just damaging the brand by doing that.
Yeah.
Like turning people away from even wanting to play Borderlands because they see all this hate and everything going out towards it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, this problem is one of the reasons, I think, why Epic Game Store is even able to kind of find a niche in the first place, was because there have been so many problems with these review bombs on Steam Store, to the point where Steam is having to take action. Like they finally, took action with Borderlands 2, to say, okay, well, we're just not allowing user reviews. We're basically purging the user reviews from that time on, because it's unfairly skewing the results.
Yeah.
And I think one of the reasons why Epic Games has been gaining traction is because of that behavior, because Epic Games doesn't allow any user reviews right now. And they basically said, we want to implement them in the future, but not until we have a firm process in place to prevent review bombs and things like that.
Yeah.
And even then, they're still going to offer for developers to opt out of user reviews altogether if they want.
Yeah.
Or rather that they would have to opt in to allow user reviews. And so it's people creating their own problem. Like when they continue doing all of this stuff, it's just going to drive people away from Steam. It's going to take power away from Steam. And ultimately, it's just going to make Epic Games stores succeed.
Yeah, this whole review bombing movement and everything, it's counterproductive.
It is, and it's really unfair to the games that made you love the series in the first place.
Yeah. Why would you do that? Borderlands 2 is one of my favorite looter shooters out there.
It's an amazing game. It absolutely is. And it's enough that it's all Gearbox really has to do is just make another Borderlands game.
Yeah.
And
don't take away, put out the same amount of content and the same quality of story and everything. Just keep it going. That's all they got to do.
If every Borderlands game gets treated like they treat their DLC, it's just basically a new story, like, new things, maybe new enemies, like new classes, things like that, but they keep the core structure of the game, they'll never put out a flop.
Yeah. But their DLCs are massive.
And they are. Yeah. The DLCs, it is one of the only companies that I feel completely safe in getting like season passes and things like that.
Yeah.
Because every single DLC that they have put out has been spectacular.
Yeah. Just talking about this makes me want to play Borderlands 2.
I know, right?
Because I didn't play all the DLCs, and I had just started leveling a Psycho to continue on. Yeah. And another game came out that disappointed me probably.
Probably. Yeah, it's just, there's too much of people. I guess in a way, it's just kind of like throwing fits because they're not getting their way.
Yeah.
Like, well, I wanted this to be on Steam Store from release. I wanted to buy it through Steam Store. So, like, I'm basically going to whine and complain until, like, I get my way.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at some of the reviews, because most of the reviews were saying something about Borderlands 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at their playtime on Borderlands 2 that they're giving a bad review on, and they got freaking days worth of hours like played. Like they got a lot of days on there.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just, what can you do? I mean, Steam is doing everything that they can to try and prevent this type of thing.
Yeah.
Like, Epic right now is keeping themselves out of it.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with the developer, and it's like you said, it's just you have to buy it from a different person. That's it. It's
kind of like the whole EA hate train that goes on, like, every time EA puts out a game.
Yeah. It ends up just hurting the developers.
Mm-hmm.
Really. I mean,
yeah.
There's some things that the developers out there, they hurt themselves, definitely.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then a lot of it has to do with the publishers as well, on forcing things on the developers, forcing time restraints, and which, I mean, you need some time restraints, but don't let it hurt core structures of a video game, like especially like things that are staples of a certain genre.
Right.
A looter shooter, you need a stat page. Like a gear-based, stat-based game, you need a stat page.
And I think part of the problem does kind of come down to there's so much effort to try and get on the next popular thing.
Yeah.
These days. And I mean, it's seen in almost every genre. Like, looter shooters is one of the big ones right now, alongside like battle royales. Like, for a while it was MOBAs.
Yeah.
Like,
I never really got into MOBAs heavy.
No, but I mean, it's always, oh, well, this thing is popular, so we need to put out a version of it. And you see that maybe too much, where a studio goes too far outside of its comfort zone, like too far outside of what it knows, and tries to put something together and just doesn't really do a good job of it. And something I'd heard recently concerning Anthem is that it was actually, like, if you want to actually put blame somewhere, it was actually some of the higher ups at BioWare where it was actually the problem. Basically, they had like 7 years. I think it was like 7 years ago was when the project actually started, and they spent like the first 5 years of it basically just piddling around doing nothing and just talking about it. Like, from what I'd heard, like the EA where they revealed the E3 last year where they revealed a bunch of stuff on it was the first time that some of them had even seen anything of the work that they were doing.
Oh, wow.
So when it comes down to it, like, their time constraints and problems like that, I mean, are really BioWare's own doing, not EA.
Wow.
And so, I don't know. I still hold out hope for the game in the future. There's a really good core there. Like, there's a really good game in there. It's just, they're going to need time to get it out because they for their own fault, basically, didn't have time to do it.
That's crazy. I actually hadn't read that. I kind of stayed away from Anthem news right now until they fixed a lot of stuff. just because my focus has been elsewhere.
Right. And hey, in the meantime, Final Fantasy 14 is occupying my time and my interest pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got back into it just because I always enjoyed the game. I only really left it because WildStar had come out at the time, which that turned into a disappointment.
Yeah.
And kind of turned me off of MMOs altogether for a long time.
Yeah, and we put a lot of, we were hyped for WildStar.
I mean, there was a lot good about it.
And see, I didn't get as far as you did. I wasn't enjoying it. At the beginning, I just wasn't getting into it.
I enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed their sense of humor. I enjoyed to a certain extent the story in it. It just getting to that gear grind to try and get into raiding was just atrocious.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in a way kind of a similar problem that Anthem has with its loot system. It's just way too random.
Yeah, you could spend days and not get an upgrade for what you have.
Right.
I didn't understand Anthem's. I like the game. The gameplay is so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to that point where you have the best gear set and you're just trying to find a piece with actual good stats that actually works for what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then an occasional legendary.
Yeah.
Is what it was. Yeah. Masterwork and then legendary. I think I only have one legendary.
Yeah. I think one or two for me.
Yeah. I never got more than one. And I was just getting Masterwork stuff. I have everything the Titan can have, all the gear pieces, but most of them do not have stats that are actually useful for how I want to play.
And like I said, it's something that I'll eventually go back into.
Yeah, it's free DLC.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, yeah, the purchase has already been made. And I mean...
I got my money's worth out of it.
Absolutely.
I think I did.
Absolutely. I mean, I did put a good amount of time and enjoyment into it. And in all honesty, there are a lot of games these days that they come out in a really bad place.
Yeah.
Often due to the company putting it out, false promises, things like that. But there's a number of those games that have been able to rally, come in, fix everything, and actually put out a pretty good game after the fact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything I hear from No Man's Sky. Yeah. I didn't really play it before or after, but everything I hear about it is that there was a massive overhaul, and the game is actually really good now.
Yeah, you can actually play with other people now.
Warframe was the same way.
Yeah, that's even huge after their most recent update.
Yeah.
Or big update. They probably had more updates since then. But
even Final Fantasy 14 basically had that same issue.
Yeah, in Final Fantasy 14, it shines at its story.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It shines there. It's your typical MMO, like World of Warcraft is, where you have your ability buttons. It's not action combat like it's your old school MMOs.
Right. Although I would say that in general, it's a little more mobile than a lot of MMOs tend to be.
Yeah. Unless you're a black mage.
But yeah, so all in all, don't give up on a game just because it's maybe not what you expected at first, especially for these games as services. The companies are going to try and do their best to improve the game, and a lot of them are listening to the communities.
Yeah.
And I think Anthem is going to be one of those. So I think, given time, say 6 months or a year down the road, I think, after a lot of polish, work, and everything, it's going to be a pretty spectacular game.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I'd rather them fix their loot system before releasing a raid or raid level content.
Right.
At this point. I wanted a raid within a few months, but
yeah. I agree. A good raid system requires a good loot system.
Yeah, and I don't think they're gonna be doing a raid, like a traditional raid, but we do need some kind of in-game content to, other than just farming, because that's just, it's basically just like playing Phantasy Star Online. and just farming the same thing over and over. But like Phantasy Star Online 2, you have a massive amount of stuff to farm from. Right. It's not just one thing. It's just not one place over and over.
Right.
And that's the way it feels right now in Anthem. Is there's really only one good dungeon that you can farm, or whatever they're called, strongholds.
Yeah.
There's only one that you can farm quickly, and then other than that, you just have the open world map to farm from, and that's like, I guess, the best loot, or it was when I was playing last.
Right, and I mean, even then, like, it doesn't really enhance your ability to get better loot. It just enhances your chances of
getting more. Yeah.
Which I think is another thing that's important in a loot system, is there needs to be better loot for doing harder things.
Yeah, for real. And I've been seeing some good titles on videos. I just haven't watched them yet, from like Eric's and what's the other guy?
Ryan Central.
Yeah, Ryan Central, which he's transitioning to other things, and he was taking a break last I saw.
And like I said, I'm pretty occupied at the time. I know this summer is going to be pretty busy for me with like Mario Maker 2 coming out, like Ultimate Alliance coming out, Shadowbringers coming out for Final Fantasy 14. So like there's going to be a lot of stuff coming up to occupy my time. But you know, sometime later down the line, like I'll probably go back to Anthem, see what they've changed, see what they've improved.
Yeah, same here. Like I like it. I like the way it looks. I like the way the Javelin feels.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the core gameplay is fun enough that I have a lot of faith that they'll be able to really put some shine on it and make it spectacular.
Oh yeah. I think we'll cut it off there. We started to go over our normal amount of time there.
Sometimes it's hard to stop.
Yeah. There was a lot of political stuff on my mind this week, and it just was bothering me. And I guess that it took up a good chunk of the episode here, but
true.
But it's stuff that needs to be said.
Yeah,
like, and hopefully people listen, people do the research on their own, and can get out of the mindset of just being told what to believe and do, and maybe this world could be a better place. For it. I don't know. That's our goal.
You know, maybe we should just go back to like reading Rainbow. But don't take my word for it.
Yeah, listen to Jordy. But that said, hope you join us next week when we have something more to talk about. Oh, no, that's wrong.
Oh, do-over.
We hope you join us next week when we have something more to podcast.